It's that time of the year for this man to travel between the USTA Billie Jean King Tennis Center and college campuses and soon NFL stadiums because he's that type of guy. He's the voice of college football, joining us from Columbus, Ohio, Chris Fowler. Good to see you, Chris. How are you?
Hello, Rich. Awesome to see you. Welcome back, first of all.
Thank you.
Awesome to have you back with the mothership.
I will take that. And run with it. What was the last Sports Center you did? What was your last Sports Center, Chris?
Oh, God.
Come on.
It was in a different century, I think. I don't remember the last. You're much better about that, knowing the exact dates and times.
I do focus on that sort of stuff, I guess. But yeah, last century? You have not done one in the 21st century. Probably so.
I don't believe so, no.
But
I moved out of the Bristol metropolitan area in the sort of mid-90s.
Okay, so that would make sense then.
Yeah.
Now, you're in Columbus, Ohio, but you're calling LSU Clemson, correct, to kick off the season, right?
That is correct.
But
yes.
So you are in Columbus for, I give you the floor, Chris. We all know why you're in Columbus, but go ahead.
A day tomorrow that many of us thought about for years, dreaded, has arrived. It'll be a celebratory morning as Lee Corso appears on College GameDay for the last time and makes his last headgear pick in the place where it all began, Columbus, Ohio. And it's going to be powerful, Rich. It's going to be very emotional for him, for a lot of us, for a lot of viewers. It's going to be a one-of-a-kind game day show, leading in, by the way, to a monster Texas Ohio State game, which is on another network.
Yes.
But Fox is sort of collaborating in a way. I can't tip too much, but there's going to be some surprises. It's going to be an extravaganza there as it all builds to the end. I'm loving watching these picks, headgear picks. Here he is as the Trojan warrior there.
Well, I mean, and this one is great. I like this one. That looks like Ricky Fowler there to the left, and put the one up with Namath, if you don't mind. What's this one? What's the backstory to this one?
Distinguished guys in fur coats. You know, Namath had the famous fur coat when he was with the Jets. I don't know whether he wore it at Alabama, but he tried it out for this, and Lee Corso was ready for it and had his own. I'm not sure that's faux. I don't believe if any minks or actual animals were sacrificed for the sake of that shot right there. But that's the thing, though, is some of the funniest people on the planet wanted to come out and play with Lee Corso. You know, from Bill Murray to Will Ferrell to Vince Vaughn, on and on. These guys wanted to be part of the guest picker segment because Lee Corso was over there doing his thing, and they got to play with him. And everybody from those guys to Alice Cooper to Katy Perry, of course, one of the most famous game day picker segments. All of them had a blast, and he was always sort of the ringleader of the most 15 important minutes of the show.
Well, as you know, chemistry can't be manufactured, right? And that's the magic of television. That's the magic of again, that shot of you and Lee and Herb Street. And that was how College GameDay sort of was known for a while, was through the three of you, and we all know how it expanded, what it's become. But walk me through the chemistry and when you realized something was up when Lee was around, Chris.
The very first time he and I were together on a set, I was an emergency fill-in as GameDay host in '89 when the host, his wife was having a baby, and he raced away, and they called me late, and I had never done anything like that. I would like to say that I was calm, but I was pretty nervous. And here he was coaching a true freshman, doing something he hadn't done before, and filling me with confidence and belief when others around me were looking skeptical. When Beano Cook was telling me, he's a famous figure that worked with Lee and us back in those days, but it's like, Fowler, your pants. You're not going to sleep at all tonight before this show. And so countering that on the other shoulder was a nurturing, loving coach, which Lee Corso to me is always a coach at heart, giving me confidence and belief. The next season, I was the regular host of the show, and it was just he and I, Rich, and he would say some crazy stuff. I mean, before he was this lovable grandfather figure, people old enough to remember Corso, especially before he had to fight back through the stroke. I mean, he was so quick. He was incredibly witty and funny, and would say crazy, polarizing things that really pissed people off. And he didn't care. He was a hot take guy way before that was unfortunately invented, right? And so I was sitting there. There's nobody else on the set. And I've got to have an answer or a response to some crazy statement he's just made. And it really wasn't a host role. Traditionally, Craig James came in the next year. Herbie came in a few years after that, and then they could really play off of each other, and that took the chemistry to another level. For a while, it's just me figuring out how am I going to balance out the nutty stuff Corso's saying. You know?
The not so fast, was that always around, or were you there for the birth of that? Or
yeah, I think he would say that like off air, and so he just brought that onto the air, and then the Dixon Ticonderoga pencil became part of the routine. And I think people would make picks on the show. The guests would come in and they'd want to disagree with Corso just so he could turn and say to them, "Not so fast, my friend." and I, everybody from Michael Phelps, who was pretty fast, to Carl Lewis, who was really fast. I mean, he would say it to anybody, and he would try to do just enough research about their careers, if they'd made movies or songs. He would try to know just enough about it to work a few of those things in, and which always amused them.
And were you on the set when he called the kid a midget? Not so fast, midget? Were you on the set for that one, Chris?
That's one of those things. You know, when you go,
hey, how old was the kid? How old was that kid when he said that to him? Was it like 10? Something like
10, 12. It was at the Rose Bowl. I mean, it was like you go over it and you think, all right, listen, don't say this, don't say that, and then of course it comes out. Comes out. I mean, he was never one for being politically correct, and that's one of the beautiful things about him.
I love it. Chris Fowler walking us through some memory lane here with Lee Corso on Rich Eisen Show before Corso's final College Game Day. Again, I don't mean to spoil any surprises, but you were there today for a banquet, right, in honor of Lee Corso?
Yeah, so it's a kind of a luncheon.
Okay, luncheon.
Lee's got a bunch of people coming in. People have flown in for it who worked with Lee in the past, other places, and a lot of family and friends. It's going to be a pretty informal thing, not a bunch of speeches, but just kind of a chance to get together. And for him to see a lot of people, because he'll lock it down. You know, he's been thinking about this for a long time. He'll be very emotional. He'll conserve his energy, as he always does on Friday, and then obviously go out there and have a pretty significant role in Game Day beyond just the pick segment, more than he has in recent years. But this is a chance to just kind of informally get together and hug him and take some pictures.
Are you going to stick around for College Game Day, or you're heading out to
I am going to stick around for a throwback segment. Yes, there's a throwback segment early in the show, and I'll enjoy that a lot and try to keep it together. And then I'll just sit back and watch, like everybody else, the rest of the show unfold and the pick.
You're not wrong, man. Keep it together, right? Because I'll say here all the time, and I felt it, again, 2 Mondays ago, Chris, about keeping it together and reunions and throwbacks and things like that involving an ESPN show. And obviously that would be SportsCenter. But this is the sort of stuff, it's like, it is the marking of passage of time, you know, and you use the word of, dreading this moment that Lee would not be on the set anymore. But thank goodness he's around, right? That we're not talking about him as if he's not around, that he is part of it. And I imagine you have not been part of College Game Day itself for a bit, because you're in the booth. I left after the 2014 season,
right, which was a tough decision. I still see Lee from time to time, because the show will be at the same places the games we're calling on ABC, and obviously we both live in Florida, so I get a chance to see him in the off season. He's been thinking about this all spring and all summer. But this, you're a great student of TV history, Rich. So I don't know. I think in the world we live in, this is sort of comparable to like Johnny Carson's last show. But the Tonight Show, right? That show will continue, but he's one of one, and his presence can't be duplicated. And if you're a Letterman fan, as I was a huge Dave fan, I think you were too. When he left, I think it's one of those moments in TV sports where it's been since 1987 that he was Game Day from day one. I joined it a few years in, but I mean that's a hell of a run, and it's a run that we're never going to see in this business again. I don't think, regardless of we're talking college football or any sport, it's a run we'll not see. And that's why it's to be celebrated, and that's why so many people are going to get misty.
Yeah, I mean, television personalities are welcomed into homes. They're part of your day or tradition, or in this case, a Saturday morning, and so obviously it is that emotional. It really is for somebody like Lee Corso to be part of something that has been part of so many people's Saturdays.
And people have said things, Rich, because you do grow up watching sports on TV, and it makes an impact with you. And Lee Corso's impact on the sport, growing the sport, making the sport measurably more popular and more fun with his presence for generations of people. I can't tell you how often I get approached, and it must be tenfold for him. Listen, my brothers, my dad, we sat on the couch Saturday morning watching game day. And those are like beautiful, powerful memories for so many people, so many families, and so many fans. And the young guy who works on the show as a production assistant who now hands Lee the headgear has told him, I was 5 years old, like running into the living room at the end of game day to watch you make that pick. And now he's working with him as the end is approaching. And there's so many thousands of people that have that same experience.
And then in the a few minutes I have left with you, Chris Fowler, the front row seat you've had to the Corso Herb Street relationship. And you could see Kirk views him as a family member. There's no question about it. Father figure, grandfather figure, however you want to put it, not to get, psychological here, but you could definitely see how he's been hugging him up, loving him up, and being there for Lee in a way that you just don't see on television. And I'd love for you to give voice to this, Chris.
Yeah, I get moved with the way you describe that. I really do. I think it was a parental kind of beloved uncle figure, as well as being a coach. He was a coach to Kirk. He was a coach to Desmond Howard. He's talked about that. He meant a whole lot to Desmond as well, and to me, as I've described. So whether you view him as a coach or a parent, early on, he nurtured us. He helped me. He was very, very helpful and nurturing and supportive to Kirk. But then as time passes, as we know, when our own parents, get older, the roles kind of shift and reverse. And so Kirk's done a phenomenal job, purely from the heart, helping Lee. All of us were so fearful when he suffered that stroke. It's been a long time. It's been since 2009. Coming back from that, how would it work, Rich? How would the gears mesh? Would the mind and the mouth connect? And to see him come back and spectacularly, battle and overcome that. And I think later in recent years, he has needed all of that love and support from Kirk. And Kirk has a wonderful way with him. And I think you'll see that. Again tomorrow. It's going to be fun to be part of a throwback segment for me, because I don't miss a lot about game day. I like not having to get up early. I like having a Friday night. Yeah. I love what I'm doing on Saturday night, but I do miss some of that stuff. As you said, it's precious and it's priceless, and I'll have a good time tomorrow morning.
Everyone's going to be watching, man. Everyone's going to be watching. I would be remiss before I let you go if I didn't give you the floor on the game that is going to be played there. It's pretty monumental. But
it is. I wish we were calling it, man.
I'm sure.
We're going to watch a little bit ringside before we get on the plane and go down to Clemson, and we're thrilled to be at LSU Clemson too. That's a monster game, tremendous quarterback matchup. You're going to be talking about these guys in the coming months and all the way to the draft. Garrett Nussmeier and Cade Klubnik, because along with Arch, of course, who has the moment of his football life here tomorrow. These guys are at the top of all the quarterback boards. There may be 6 first-round quarterbacks in the draft, and the guys I'm talking about in these 2 games are right there. It's unclear if Arch is going to come out. He's sort of walked that back a little bit. Let's see what kind of season they have. But to come in here in this environment and throw the ball in meaningful pressure situations, which is not something he's really done against quality opponents yet. We saw glimpses of it. Trust me, in practice, he throws it beautifully. But he's been mostly like a change of pace quarterback, a runner. He can still do that. But Sarkisian is hoping that he's not going to get too caught up in his own hype. I think he's pretty well grounded. I think he's raised by a grounded family, and he's got some very good uncle mentors and a very smart coach in Steve Sarkisian who's telling him, don't be Superman, Arch. You don't have to put the cape on. You just have to manage things. You get us going, take care of the ball. You've heard this a million times, but that's what football is at the highest level when you play good teams. He's got a great defense, and Julian Sand for Ohio State is going to have to make his debut at home, which is nice, but against a great Texas defense. So this is what we have in the sport, a monster opening weekend with so many unanswered questions that'll begin to sort of reveal themselves in all these big showdown games. So it's going to be a blast. Saturday, Sunday, and even Monday night when Belichick debuts against TCU.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of want to see there. I think so. It's just a monster, big, long holiday weekend of college football.
Yeah, and then you go back to New York City, where I just was a couple weeks ago. I don't know if there's something in the water, but this past week at the tennis center, kind of off the rails. Arguments at the net, weird questions in the press room, smashed rackets.
Dude, it's at the end of a long, hot tennis summer.
Wandering photogs. What the hell happened this week at the U.S. Open, Chris?
Everything happened. I think everybody's brain at the end of this long tennis calendar, I feel refreshed, but all the players are kind of like tapped out, and that's why weird stuff happens at the Open, and then we got a whole nother, 10 days to go.
That's right. And it's 1 a.m. and crazy stuff happens. But in the meantime, have a great luncheon. Have a great time there. Soak it in, man. Soak it in and enjoy it. I really can't wait to see what you and the rest of the College Game Day crew have cooked up on Saturday.
I'll pass along your best. Thanks for giving me the opportunity, Rich. I appreciate you come on here and talk about this stuff that is so near and dear. Appreciate you.
You bet. That's Chris Fowler getting ready to fetch this man on your screen, Lee Corso, right here on the Rich Eisen Show.